Hello and welcome to Feechan Consulting Limited. This is the first in our series of short videos about creating pivot tables in Microsoft Excel 2007. By the end of the series, you'll be able to quickly organise your sheets of financial data into tables that are clear and easy to read and give you the information you're looking for at a glance. This first video deals with how to prepare your data and create a basic pivot table. Here's an example of some sales data, listing sales made by the company's salesmen during the first quarter. The data starts at column A and in row 1. There are no rows above it and no columns to the left of it. This isn't vital, but it's just going to make the pivot table easier to adapt in case you have to refresh it. More about that in the third video. The data is in a continuous sequence, with no empty rows and no empty columns. This is important. Individual cells, however, can be empty. It's just that no entire row or column must be blank. There's a header row to the data. This is important because Excel will turn each column's title into what it calls a field, and when you create a pivot table, you map different fields against each other, which you'll see shortly. The dates are all formatted as dates, and the numbers as numbers. To change the format of the data in a column, click on it to highlight it, right-click, choose Format Cells, and choose either Date or Number format as appropriate. You can also set the format for how you want the numbers to appear in the pivot table. More about this in the third video. To create a basic pivot table, click with your cursor on any cell underneath the header row in a column that has no gaps. In Excel 2007, you start by clicking Insert. Click the Pivot Table button and choose Pivot Table from the drop-down menu. Excel automatically picks up the range of data from your sheet. Click OK and a blank pivot table appears, with fields on the right-hand side of the screen. You now need to choose, as I mentioned earlier, which fields you want to show mapped against each other in your table. Let's say you want to see total sales for each individual salesman. That means you need to map the salesman field against the total field. To do this, tick the box next to the salesman field on the list on the right. Make sure it then appears in the Row Labels box below. If it doesn't, you can move it by clicking the drop-down arrow next to the field's name and choosing where to move it to. Or else you can simply drag it. Then, tick the Total field and make sure it appears in the Values box as Sum of Total. If it appears as anything different, for example Count of Total, click the drop-down arrow, choose Value Field Settings, and under Summarise Value Field By, choose Sum. Excel then fills in the details on the blank table to create your pivot table. That's the end of the first video. You've seen how to prepare your data and create a basic pivot table. Please now download and watch the second video to see how to get more information out of that table. Thank you for listening.